Okay, I know we left off with discussing holodynes. Let's talk more about holodynes. What are they? And I want to hear you talk more about it.
Well, they're holographic images.
Okay.
See, all your senses are covered with holographic screens. So the eyeball, for instance, has around its periphery on the inside, it has what they call gross grain screens. So when you come into a room and you look around, you see everything in the room, and your periphery takes that in. Mm-hmm. And at the back of the eyeball is a little dot, it's a little pin dot kind of thing called the fovea. And the fovea is covered with fine grain screens. Now what happens is just like creating a hologram. Because in a hologram, to create a hologram, you have to have a reference wave that is basically the reference for everything, and then an information wave that's basically the information. Like if you want to do the apple and make a three-dimensional apple, so you have photographic plate, put a laser beam in there, put the reference on, and then you put the same laser beam frequency, perfectly harmonic, bounce it off a three-dimensional apple. It puts the image of the apple in there, and when you shine a laser beam through the photographic screen, it creates a perfect three-dimensional image called a hologram. Now the eyeball does the same thing. That's how come you can think or see in 3 dimensions. And what it does is it takes it in through the periphery and the fovea into the optic nerve, which spins it into holographic. It's got a kind of like a Gaborian transform. It's a holographic transform that literally sends it down into your microtubules and stores it in the water molecules of your microtubules.
Okay, what's a microtubule?
A microtubule is just what it says, a micro meaning small, it's 23 nanometers across, tubule. So your body is totally webbed, all through every cell are webs of microtubules. They're in charge of mitosis, cell division. They have little arms called MAPS, microtubule associated protein strings, and they reach out and they literally divide the cell. And you can see this is on the internet. You can see them doing this. It also will take its alarms and go into the bloodstream, pick up a mineral that you need or some nutrient, and put it exactly where it's needed in the body. In other words, the microtubules, if you anesthetize them, you have no consciousness left.
Wow.
So they're a major mechanism of consciousness. Now, there are about 20 mechanisms that we know of, but basically the microtubules, if you didn't have them, you wouldn't be conscious.
Yeah. And microtubules are information systems in your body that are constantly...
Okay. They're made of little dimer switches, they're called, and they're like pillows sewn together. They can actually expand or contract, and when they're expanded, they're one valence, they're positive, and when they're contracted, they're negative, and in between, they're neutral. So they're information systems like a computer, positive, negative, and neutral. So you look at it and think, so they're holding these holograms, these we call them holodynes, because they're whole units of cause, these little holodynes in kind of a sustainable situation that they protect it so it doesn't get interfered with other information. And these things are so powerful, you can get on cruise control and they'll just totally take your journey of life and run it for you. Or they'll pass on to the next generation and continue the journey so that you act just like your dad. You just chip off the old block. You know, well, I don't want to be a chip. Well, okay, you do have creativity, so you can now create new holodynes, right? And you can also grow them up. That is, they are like everything else. They have an implicate order of growth. Now, when you get able to get in what's called superposition.
Oh, yeah.
Superposition in physics is a position of being in and out, like a quantum computer can be on and off at the same time. So when you get into this stuff about bending time and the past, the present, and the future all running in parallel, it's possible for you, with the help of your full potential self as your guide, to literally go into beyond time. Sometimes in the ancients it was called the fullness of time, but they didn't know what they were reading. They just sensed something there. So the fullness of time is when you go into the past, the present, and the future at the same time. And this is where the revelations come from and all the divinization, divine things. So the linear mind doesn't know what to do with that. So it creates a dialogue with, say, this person over here, a Mohammed or a Jesus or an Isaiah or a Jacob or whoever. And you just have dialogues with them trying to figure out what they're talking about. And the linear mind wants to put like this, so it creates what we call religion. Religion means in Latin, religio, which is to redo your logic. So religion is about redoing your logic, but it may not have anything really to do with what's real, because it says, I only understand this much and I want a logical explanation for it, so here's our theological doctrine, here's our dogma, here's our motto, here's what we do, and this is what you believe, and if you don't believe this, then you're one of those who are the non-believers. Mm-hmm. So there's this whole thing going on. It's killed millions of people, been responsible for continual conflict. But it's not the only thing that does that, because the linear mind, whenever it takes over, it literally creates a war machine, and this is what happened in Russia. And it also has made the United States and other nations military nations. They have a military-based economy. They have school systems that are based on linear thinking. They have all this stuff because the linear mind wants to take charge of everything so they can get control. And it feels like it will never get control, so it has to have more and more control because it's out of control if it's not controlled. That kind of thing is linear.
Well, and in a linear mind too, there doesn't seem to be a solution.
No, there's no solution.
It's constantly there's something else comes about because you constantly have another condition that shows up and another one and another one. Right.
The other part of it is that what we do in our culture and in most cultures in the world is we have the opposite side of the pole. Mm-hmm. The opposite side of the pole is the wave dynamics. So this is where you have people with emotions and feelings and senses and spirituality and all these names they give to the endless ocean of emotion that we find ourselves embedded in. Mm-hmm. And so there are no solutions there either. So here we go. We have the linear thinkers on the one side and the emotional thinkers on the other side. And guess what? They're going at it all the time trying to integrate so that they can get the real solutions, and there are no solutions in either one of those. Both of those are limited ways of thinking. For instance, quantum physics will handle 10 to the minus 14 and 10 to the plus 14. Rational linear classical physics handles 10 to the minus 7 to 10 to the plus 7. Consciousness works on frolic frequencies. Mm-hmm. They're 10 to the minus 33.
Wow.
It's like way outside of the range of our linear or quantum dynamics.
It's beyond. It's.
And here's the good news. We are all beyond. Mm-hmm. Our hyperspatial counterpart has the entire range. We call it presence. It's when your hyperspatial counterpart, your full potential self, mm-hmm. actually is permitted by you, chosen by you to possess your body. Mm-hmm. It's like, okay, I'm opening up all my channels. Come on through. I'm going to manifest my full potential self now. And guess what happens? Miracles. Yeah. Solutions just show up. With the Arabs, I have a special name. It's called Faraj. Guess what it means in Arabic?
What?
Solutions where none are evident.
So that's
my title. That's my name in Arabic.
So you are Faraj.
I am Faraj. Why? Because I showed them all how to get to their full potential. Then I took their holodynes and showed them how to get to the full potential of their holodynes. And they were in perfect alignment. And all this new power and new solutions and everything just came out. Because it's all embedded in the implicate order of life.
The other thing, too, is I want us to talk about how does someone find and get to their full potential. But before that, the other thing I want to just mention is what I notice about people is that we think that we are separate from the whole. So we talk about spirituality as if it's out there. It's something that we are working on or trying to get to become spiritual. That we are so separate. We want to separate ourselves and put ourselves in these little boxes.
Sure.
Because that's linear thinking.
Linear thinking. Everything has to be put in a box.
Yeah.
That's why the accountants are really valuable to a company, but you can't let the accountants run your company.
They can't be the visionaries.
They're not the visionaries.
No.
They only have this much range. And even if you get into the feelings and passion of what you're doing, it's only that much. The real deal is what's real. Mm-hmm. And to be real, you have to include hyperspace. Hyperspace with your hyperspatial counterpart and your full potential self, so to speak. Mm-hmm. And then you have to include what the covenant was, what the deal was, and why you set up this, like, dramatic stage of life where you are acting out your life on the stage. Mm-hmm. Who wrote the script? And the fact is, when you get to the real physics, everything is connected in some dimension. And so there, in some dimension, therefore, every set of circumstances that you face. This is what Roger Penrose says. Every set of circumstances that you face, your hyperspatial counterpart has already figured out the entire menu of options before you can even think a single thought, because they do that outside of time. And then what happens is you're in this situation and you can't figure it out because you've set it up so that it's in what's called an event horizon. There's no boundaries. You can't get beyond the boundaries. The boundaries are set and you can't seem to get out of it, so there's no solution from that position. But as soon as you go into hyperspace and you get with your full potential, all the solutions are there. That's how we solved all those problems for so many decades now. And we want to teach people how to do that. It's so simple. To choose to be with your full potential self, it just takes a little bit of imagination.
And then